Posting SOAP notes in Chiro HD is very simple. First, the patient will need to be checked in for their appointment. They can check in by the front desk marking them as arrived here from the calendar screen. The patient can text here when they arrive in response to their text reminder, and that will check them in. Or they can type their phone number into the kiosk at the front desk. If you have a touch screen or a computer there that you logged in as the patient check-in device, then they can check themselves in there. When the patient is checked in, they're going to appear in the appointment queue here on the SOAP notes, or here on the calendar screen, as well as on the SOAP note screen. So I'm actually going to arrive all 4 of these appointments. And I'm going to click on the SOAP note button. The adjusting station should generally have the SOAP note screen open at all times. When you click on that SOAP note button, you're going to get your logo here floating as a screensaver. So I'm just going to click on that logo to expose the SOAP note screen. And you can see the appointment queue will have each patient in the order in which they arrived. So Catherine arrived first, Adam arrived next, then Everett, then Miles. I'm going to click on the first patient, and the SOAP note screen is going to give me quite a bit of information about them. First of all, it's going to give their insurance information, their case. It's going to show their current visits and total visits. It's going to show the total charges that are set up as default for this appointment and the status of their appointment. It's going to show pregnancy information. It's going to show insurance coverage information. You're going to see the patient notes, care notes from their case, chief complaint for their case, and you'll notice that if I change the case here, if I change to cash, for example, that chief complaint and the care notes are going to change here. The other things that you're going to be able to see on this SOAP note page are the last exam, next appointment. You'll be able to view their care plan status here. You can view the last SOAP note that was posted on this case. You can see your SOAP note macros. You can see the patient's x-rays, documents, and forms. Diagnosis codes will appear down here if there are any set up. And then at the very bottom, you'll see your default services that are set up for this case type. So if I click into the patient's case, if I click into their case info, this is going to take me to their cases tab in the patient profile. And it's going to take me to the case that I'm currently looking at. If I were to click into the insurance case, let's say I needed to add or change diagnosis codes. Let's say I wanted to add, something to the chief complaint or care notes. When I click on this rates and default services, this is what I've set up as default for this case type. So you can see adjustment 3 to 4 regions. This CPT code is there as well. Therapeutic exercise, traction mechanical, and traction manual. And then when I come to the SOAP note screen and I have that insurance case type chosen, you'll notice those default services down here at the bottom are reflecting what I've set up in the case type. So as soon as you schedule a new patient, set up their default services in their case type, and it'll make the doctor's life so much easier. We also make the doctor's life easier by causing this to ask you each time you change. So let's say we didn't do mechanical traction today, we just did manual traction. It's going to ask if I want to save today's charges as a new default. I'm going to say yes, I don't think we're going to do mechanical traction anymore. And it'll change the defaults. You can also change ICDs and add modifiers here. So if I click on total charges, then I can add in ICDs. Let's say I want to map the DX codes differently. Chiro HD will automatically grab the first 4 for the HCFA forms. So if you want to map those differently, you can map those differently. Click Save. Let's say you needed to add a modifier. This was a Medicare case, and you needed to add that modifier on there, or a different modifier. You can add those here. And then when I apply those changes, it's going to ask me again, I already said yes. So it's going to apply those changes from here on out moving forward. So once I post the SOAP note, let's say I'm going to use the SOAP note macros that I have set up. I'm going to just click I'm just going to do the subjectives here just for the sake of time. So that's going to post your SOAP note. Again, you're gonna actually finish out your SOAP note here, but I'm just gonna put in the subjective just for the sake of time. When I click submit, that's going to post the SOAP note to the patient's profile. It's going to post the charges, and it's going to turn the patient's appointment green over here on the calendar screen. So if I click in here, I can view their recent transactions. The ones from today are in green. Okay, so I can see the ones from today, the adjustment, therapeutic exercise, traction manual. I can see that their appointment today is in treated status, and I can see that they have an appointment scheduled in the future here. So here, there's an appointment tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I'm going to go ahead and complete that appointment, and that's going to disappear from the appointment queue, and the appointment's going to be grayed out on the calendar. And once again, if I click into this patient's profile and I view cases, their default services are going to be updated in that insurance case. If I click into insurance and then rates default services, you'll notice their default services have been updated. So if I want to add something else in here, you decided, okay, I want to do traction mechanical from here on out, I can add that in, charge it at every visit, and choose yes, save those changes, and those services will appear every time that patient comes in. You'll also notice that if I click on the Visits tab, you can see today's SOAP note. So I can view all of my recent appointments. Today's SOAP note is here. But if I needed to go in and post a note for a previous appointment, I could also click in here in the Visits tab. Remember, we're in the patient profile under Visits. I can click on the appointment that has no SOAP note. I can click Create SOAP Note, and I can post the note from here. However, if you enter in a SOAP note from the Visits tab, the charges will not be posted, because charges can only be posted from the SOAP note screen itself, not from the Visits tab. So you can reuse the last note if you want to. You can use your macros to put in a new note, and once you submit that, it'll take you back here to the Visits tab. It'll populate that SOAP note into the little preview here. And it's taking a minute because I'm recording, and that makes my computer run kind of slow. But in your environment, it will be pretty instantaneous that this will happen. And there it is. And there it is.